Welcome to SJS Arts. So today I'm gonna talk about 25 films that I would love to see on the big screen. So these aren't new or upcoming films, but these are films that I have already seen and loved, but I have never witnessed any of these films in the cinema. But as I love these films so much, especially the visuals of these films, I think it would be a great experience to someday be able to witness these films on the big screen. Although with some of these films, it will probably be impossible to see them in the cinema, but I think I will probably have a chance to witness many of these in the cinema in the future. And I decided that I'm gonna pick one film per director. With some of these directors, I could have chosen many of their films, but I wanted to go with one each director so that there will be more variety here. But I might do a part two at some point, as obviously I had to leave out many beautiful films. Yeah, but let's get started. I'll talk about each film a little bit, mostly focusing on the visuals and why I would love to see them on the big screen. So we're gonna start with an animated film called Angel's Egg by Mamoru Oshii. So this to me is one of the most beautiful looking animated films, and that's the reason I would love to see it in the cinema. But beyond the visuals, it's also such a masterpiece of a film. Definitely the visuals and also the sound are the two reasons I would love to see it on the cinema. Yeah. I think it would look absolutely stunning in a on a big screen. Yeah. So I would highly recommend this film to everybody. It's usually on YouTube in great quality if you want to see it. And then we have another Japanese film, but this is a live action film, so it's Chichuko's younger sister by Nobuhiko Obayashi. So if you have seen any Obayashi films, you know that his visual craft is absolutely beautiful, and this film is no exception. Like you can see the shot here, it's very painterly like, and yeah, the whole of film looks absolutely beautiful. Great use of color, and also these kind of understated painting like shots like this one, where it's mostly white but looks very stunning. Yeah. This also has a great score by Joe Hisaishi, one of my favorite film composers, so it would be great to hear that with the sound system in a cinema. Yeah. And this film, by the way, is on YouTube with English subtitles, so if you search it by this name, Chichuko's younger sister, you will find a copy of it with English subtitles if you are interested in seeing it. It's not in like absolutely amazing quality, but I think the quality is watchable, so if you are interested, I would highly recommend you to watch this beautiful film. It's one of my favorites, and it was one of my highlight watches of 2023. Yeah. But I would also love to see any of the Obayashi films that I have seen on the cinema, or some of the ones that I haven't seen. House would be great. His motorbike, her island would be beautiful. Hanagatami would be really beautiful. Yeah. Then this one I would absolutely love to see in the cinema. I mean, look at this shot here. It's City of Pirates by Raul Ruiz, one of my absolute favorite films and one of the most beautiful looking films ever. It has these like really crazy colors, this very hypnotic atmosphere. It doesn't have much of a plot and it's very kind of incomprehensible film, but stylistically it's a kind of a surreal film. Just absolutely stunning. It's just you get this huge sense of awe when you watch this film. Due to the visual beauty, but it's definitely not a film for people who want a clear plot that goes from point A to point B, because it's not that type of film. But if you love painting, if you like the kind of visual side of filmmaking, yeah, then I would highly recommend this film. And this is also on YouTube if you are interested. Again, not in the best possible quality, but it's watchable. Yeah, yeah. What a great movie. Oh, love this so much. And I also watched the Another Raul Ruiz film recently, Three Crowns of the Sailor. That was actually in a good 1080p quality, and it also has this type of cinematography throughout lots of the film, and that film also blew me away and became an instant favorite. So I would love to see that one on the cinema as well, as well, and I would highly recommend that film to people. Then there's this one troglodyte film here on the list, two Dragon Ball Super Broly. So I'm actually very much regret that I didn't go to see this in the cinema in 2018 because I was actually considering it, but I figured that no, the Dragon Ball films aren't usually that good. It's usually the series that is really good. But then when I watched this at home, I loved it, and I've now seen it 4 times and love it each time. And this is one of the best looking Dragon Ball things. Again, the fights are so grand and big and beautifully animated. So many badass moments. And Broly, this is actually my favorite version of Broly because he gets way more kind of character development and way more kind of character traits and nice backstory here in the film. So this is actually a really decent film story-wise too. But yeah, the visuals, the fights are the kind of main course in the film, and also the score is really great. So it would be great to hear that. Well, I would love to see pretty much anything Dragon Ball related in the cinema. I would also love to see like if you could see some of the Tournament of Power episodes in the cinema, like the fights with Goku, Vegeta, Jiren, like all the Ultra Instinct stuff. That would be just absolutely amazing when Goku turns Ultra Instinct for the first time, and then the great fights. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Maybe even more than this film actually. But but what a great movie. And I guess there is still a little troglodyte inside of me too. So yeah. But then this is a very obvious one. I've often said that this has some of the best black and white cinematography of all time, but it's Kobayashi's Harakiri. And I know co-host of my podcast, my good friend Altes, is actually gonna see this in the cinema in early April. So we are thinking that we are gonna talk about Harakiri on our podcast in April, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite movies, as you know, and like this scene, for example, the kind of the fight scenes near the end are just absolutely stunning, but also just the shots in the samurai establishment in the kind of corridors and stuff. Everything is just so methodical and absolutely perfect and well thought out, and such a beautiful looking film. And yeah, it's kind of like a film school itself, this movie, both in terms of the visuals and everything else. And this is actually these days the highest ranked film on Letterboxd, and it's completely understandable as I think. Again, films don't really get better than this, but yeah, what a great movie. Then number 6. So this is something with pretty brutalist compositions, but it's Heroic Purgatory by Yoshishige Yoshida. One of the most incomprehensible films ever made, but I still love it to death. It's one of my favorite pieces of art ever, even though I really don't understand it. But again, I don't really care about understanding in the end. I just want to experience something beautiful, and this is something very beautiful. Many of my favorite shots of all time come from this film, even though they are just completely out of the ordinary. They are like unlike nothing you've ever seen, and like I said, they are very brutal looking and kind of off looking, but in a very beautiful and artistic way. Like the angles are very weird, and they often are very steep, and how the characters are shown in the angles or the shots is very different from what you usually see. So sometimes we just see like a head of a person, but the angle is like this going up, like in a very weird steep angle, and then there are lots of shots where the characters are in kind of like a corner of the shot in a very weird way that you don't usually see. Obviously, I like this shot here that they show here too. Yeah, but a very difficult film. Many people would absolutely hate this. I think people with very open minds will find something to love about this film, and to me, this is just one of the best things ever, and this is always on my mind. Yeah, you are always on my mind. Yeah, I just watched the Andrew Hay film, All of Us Strangers, and that song plays in that film in a great scene. What a great film that is, by the way. I'll recommend it to people. But we are gonna do Heroic Purgatory on the podcast at some point probably, so I'm very scared of that day as it's a very difficult film to talk about, but it will be a good challenge. Yeah. Then I've waxed lyrical about this film so many times, but it's Kamikaze Girls by Tetsuya Nakashima. One of the most beautiful looking films ever, and it's just my aesthetic with these crazy colors, but I also love the framing of the shots, the composition, the angles, everything is just perfect about it, but especially again these colors I love. I mean look at this shot here, like Momoko, what a great character and it has that queer aesthetic with these colors and all the craziness. Yeah. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, this is so good. Maybe we'll talk about this in the podcast too at some point. Yeah. Such a great movie. Yeah. But I'm not sure whether this is shown in the cinemas here in the West. Like often probably not, but maybe I will get to see it someday. But this next film is probably something that I would have no trouble seeing in the cinema at some point because obviously Antonioni films are shown often in the art house cinemas. But this is La Notte, the second part of the Alienation trilogy. And this to me is probably the best looking Antonioni film, although it's really hard to choose one. But this is also a candidate for the best black and white cinematography ever. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. And I love this movie in general, but the cinematography is one of the highlights here. Yeah. But I would also love to see La Ventura or Red Desert or Leclerc. This would probably be my choice. Yeah. Then the next one is just a miracle how good it looks. It's Letter Never Sent by Mikhail Kalatozov. So this was shot in the Siberian wilderness. And this is just one of those films where when you see the shots, you are just in awe that how could they do something like this, especially in the 60s without any CGI or anything. So, but this is one of the best looking films ever. And this is like a really big looking cinematography as it is in the kind of wilderness, and there are fires there and these huge, beautiful shots and stuff. So this would be incredible to see on the cinema. Yeah, and such a masterpiece in general. One of my absolute favorites. And this is on YouTube in great quality and also on the Criterion channel and also on Criterion Blu-ray. If you are interested in seeing it, I have recommended this film many times on my channel and I will continue to do so as it's so great. And we might do this one on the podcast too. Then the next one is a also very difficult film, one that I don't really understand that well. But the two times that I have watched it, I've been absolutely blown away by the shots, by the shots of the feel in the film, and also the atmosphere and the vibe of the film. And this has such beautiful framing, so many great shots, so many great wide shots, and I mean look at this shot here too. It's very beautiful looking. Yeah, what a amazing, quite dark movie with some of the best black and white cinematography ever. And I guess this is probably a film that they show here and there in the art house cinemas, so I might be able to see see this one in the cinema someday. But would highly recommend this to everybody. It's one of the greatest films of all time, in my opinion. And yeah, oh, so good. Then, no, well, this is such a beautiful film to Mishima Life in Four Chapters, mixing up beautiful color cinematography with very beautiful black and white cinematography, and also just such a interesting narrative and structure. Yeah, I mean, this shot that they show here is really great, but this is just a collection of some of the most beautiful shots ever. And this to me is clearly Paul Schrader's best film. Yeah, although I haven't seen all of them, there are quite a few that I haven't seen, but I would be very surprised if any of them are this good. Yeah, and this is probably one that they also show in the cinemas quite often, so hopefully I can see it someday. But in the meantime, I can watch the Criterion Blu-ray, so yeah. And this one I will probably have a chance to see in the cinemas someday. It's Paris, Texas by Wim Wenders, and here we have one of my favorite shots from the film, although it has some like really stunning shots in the desert in the kind of first part of the film, and then also in the end with the like the when it's dark outside and there are these beautiful lights and stuff. Yeah. Oh god, that pink jumper, it's just my favorite color, so it just really does it for me. Yeah. But this is at one point I said that this is the best looking film of all time, so it makes sense that why I would want to see it in the cinemas. But Barry Lyndon might be the best looking film of all time actually. But yeah, but this is in the conversation definitely. Then, well, this probably it probably won't be possible for me to see this one on the cinema, but it's Parsifal by Hans Jürgen Superberg. Yeah, Tony is probably gonna kill me for that pronunciation, but it's again Parsifal from 1982. So it's the Wagner's opera, but in a kind of film theater format, you could say, and it mixes some other things in there as well. But I'm not really familiar with the opera like beyond this film, so I don't know how this compares to seeing the opera live. But I really love this one when I watched it on YouTube a few years ago, and I actually noticed when I checked last night when I was doing this list that a better quality copy of this had been added to YouTube because when I watched it, it was a pretty bad copy but still watchable. But now I noticed that there is a copy that looks quite a bit better. So if you are interested, you should definitely go check it out. It's one of my favorite movies, and I also need to rewatch it too. But yeah, this would be like very beautiful and grand, both in terms of the music, but also the visuals to see it in the cinema. Yeah. Then we have one of my favorite Japanese films and one of the kind of cornerstones of Japanese New Wave. It's Pastoral to Die in the Country. As you can see in this crazy shot, it has very interesting experimental visuals with lots of crazy, very wide ranging colors. And I love colorful films, so I think this would look absolutely stunning on the big screen. It's another film that is more focused on the visuals and the weird atmosphere than any kind of concrete plot. But there is like plot there as well and characters too. But definitely when you watch this, you pay attention to the visuals the most. But it's such a beautiful looking film, such a weird film. But yeah, definitely my aesthetic and my cup of tea. But this is also on YouTube in a watchable quality with English subtitles, so we highly recommend it. And I think this might be in the rare film website too, so you can compare which place has the better quality copy. Yeah, but this is one that it's just an absolute masterpiece, and more people need to see it. Yeah, and this next one might be a bit kind of weird to see in the cinema due to the um, subject matter, but this is such a beautiful looking film. But it's James Bidgood's Pink Narcissus, and the shot that you have right here is one of my favorites. Like just that weird, colorful aesthetic is just does it for me. Yeah, but this film has so many beautiful shots, and I'm one person I follow in Letterboxd actually saw this in the cinema recently, so they do show this in the cinemas sometimes. And it was actually a funny review because the person said that there was like an old man in the cinema and he left like after 20 minutes because, and he said something like, I'm not watching this film or something like that. I'm paraphrasing that review, but it was something like that, and it really made me laugh. Yeah, but what a beautiful experimental film made for queer people. So yeah, great stuff. Yeah, this next one is such a beautiful movie. It's The Plea by Tenki Sapulachi. Another film that you can watch on YouTube, not in the best quality. I really hope that somebody would restore this film. But this has like really beautiful kind of black and white contrast, really great shots in the nature, but also of people. Great story as well. Yeah, amazing film, and this should be like a huge classic, but not just not enough people have seen it yet. But hopefully, it will become a bigger classic in time. I know some of the other Apalachi films, or one of them at least, has been restored to great quality, but I think this one hasn't yet. And it's really annoying when these like really beautiful, amazing masterpieces aren't like restored. It's so sad. Yeah, these should be preserved and taken care of. Yeah, we cannot lose this beautiful art. We need to celebrate it every day. Yeah, but definitely, I would recommend for you to watch it on YouTube. It's just 72 minutes and really beautiful film. And even though the quality isn't the best, it's still watchable. Yeah. Then we have Purple Moon by René Clement, another one that we might do on the podcast at some point. But this had peak Alain Delon. So that's basically the reason to see it in the cinema that it had Alain Delon at his peak. Although I'm not sure my heart could take seeing him this beautiful in the cinemas. Yeah, but it's also really beautiful looking film in general. Like with these like really sunny outside shots and stuff. It's really colorful and beautiful. Yeah, great cinematography and a great movie. Yeah, and Alain Delon. Alain Delon. Yeah. Then the next one is very obvious, but it's The Red Shoes, one of the most beautiful looking films ever, and one of the greatest films ever, and possibly the best film of this decade. And I wouldn't even mind if somebody said that it's best film of all time. But yeah, all the like very colorful shots, it would be great to see them in the cinemas. The ballet stuff would be really great to see in the cinemas. Yeah, and I'm sure that this will probably plays in the cinemas quite often. So I'm sure that I will probably have a chance to see this in the cinema in the future. Yeah, and I would love to see some other Michael Powell and Pressburger films as well, but this is by far my favorite. So this one is the one I would love to see in the most in the cinemas. But then after this, maybe Black Narcissus, as that has some absolutely gorgeous scenes as well. Then we have this Ritwik Katak film, A River Called Guitar, which is one of the best looking films ever. Um, I could have gone with Cloud Capped Star as well, but I think this is, in terms of the cinematography, the more beautiful of the two. Although the plot here is a bit all over the place, but as a visual feast, it's just perfect. Like, look at this shot here too, and there are many like beautiful wide shots, and just how the shots are placed looks so beautiful. Yeah, this was restored by the Martin Scorsese Foundation, which is great. And it's on the Criterion channel currently if you want to see it, and you can probably find it elsewhere too, and it's on Blu-ray as well. And yeah, now if somebody could restore the Katak film Suparna Rekha, as I really want to see that one, that's on YouTube as well. I think pretty bad quality, and I will eventually watch it with bad quality as well, but I would love to see it restored. Yeah. Then Shansho the Bailiff, I think Altes is also seeing this one on the cinema soon. So yeah, this just has some of the best framing, some very haunting shots, some very beautiful shots. Yeah, just a perfect example of kind of great black and white cinematography. And when the film itself is one of the best films ever made too, yeah, it would be a great experience to see it in the cinema. And this one probably I will have a chance in the future to see it in the cinema. I was actually thinking today that I haven't seen that many Japanese films in the cinema. Like many of the classic films that I went to see in the cinema when I was living in London were European and American films, but there weren't too many Japanese films. Yeah, I saw some, but not enough. Yeah. Then the last five. So we have Tarkovsky's Stalker, which is very obvious as it is. Absolutely perfectly shot film with beautiful locations. Okay, they has the sepia scenes and then the color, full color scenes, great angles, beautiful wide shots. Yeah, how the shots are placed is so beautiful as well, and yeah, perfect movie, both in terms of the visuals but also overall. So, but any of the Tarkovsky films would be beautiful to see in the cinema. I mean, Mirror would be amazing too, but Stalker is my favorite Tarkovsky film overall, and probably in terms of the visuals as well. And then, of course, I would love to see my favorite film of all time in the cinema. I mean, that goes without saying. I had the chance to see Mulholland Drive in the Prince Charles Cinema in London. It was great. This one I haven't seen yet, nor have I seen Blue Velvet. So, and I was gonna see Eraserhead, but then when the COVID pandemic was starting, so then it was cancelled. So that made me really sad. Yeah, but this is actually a very beautiful looking film. Like this scene, for example, with the angels and stuff, the song Voice of Love playing on the background, and although I'm not sure I could take the horrible scenes, the horror scenes in this film on the big screen, it would be pretty disturbing, and there are some like emotional powerhouse scenes as well. When we, for example, hear Julie Cruise's Questions in a World of Blue, okay, and that scene makes me cry often. So seeing that in the cinema and hearing the one of my favorite songs of all time, if not my favorite song of all time, in the cinema speakers, it would be pretty powerful. Then I knew that I had to pick some Theo Angelopoulos film, as they all look so beautiful, and this is probably my favorite film by him, so that's why I chose it. But it's Ulysses Gaze. Incredible cinematography. His films have a bit of that kind of Tarkovsky aesthetic, although in terms of the color, they look a bit different. I think Angelopoulos films are a bit like less colorful, I would say, if we compare them to the color Tarkovsky films. Yeah, but they have these beautiful wide shots and very methodical filmmaking. I love it. Yeah, this film even has Harvey Keitel, and like before I watched this, I was thinking that how can a Harvey Keitel be with Theo Angelopoulos? That's a weird duo, but then it ended up being great. Then the Emperors of Cherbourg that I always talk about. I just rewatched this for the fourth time last Sunday. Made me cry once again. Like this time it was the scene, the train scene when Guy is going to the military and like they are Je t'aime mon amour, je t'aime mon amour. Like but this is one of the most beautiful looking films ever. Just the colors are beautiful, angles are beautiful, the hypnotic, magical, whimsical vibe is beautiful. These two characters are beautiful. Yeah, and this is probably gonna be easy to see in the cinema someday in the future, as it is a big classic and a very accessible film as well. But yeah, sometimes I feel like this might be my favorite film of all time, but I don't know. Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me is hard to beat. Yeah. Then the last one actually has a bit of a similar aesthetic as The Emperors of Cherbourg, but it's Open Coupe by Guy Gilles. So this is a French New Wave film, and to me it's kind of, in terms of the visuals and the vibe, it's kind of a mix of Alain Resnais and Jacques Demy. But of course, this shot that we have here is more like Jacques Demy than Alain Resnais. But there's lots of Rene type of thing in this film. But yeah, I love the color stuff. It's just absolutely beautiful, very methodical. How the shots are placed, and again, just absolutely everything about the aesthetic is beautiful. Yeah, and I just absolutely adore this shot that we have here. Yeah, it's just I knew when I saw this shot that I was gonna love this film, and it ended up being true. So yeah, but this is on the Rare Film website in really good quality, so I would highly recommend this film. It's only 71 minutes, so yeah, beautiful kind of hidden gem of the French New Wave. Yeah, but those were the 25 films. I will probably do a part two at some point, maybe not soon, but at some point, definitely. Yeah, and look out for another podcast episode in a week. We are planning to do it on March 9th, and it should come out in the same day, the episode, so look out for that. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Let me know what films you would love to see on the big screen, and let me know if you have seen any of these films on the big screen. And what are some of your best cinema experiences of all time? For me, it's some are like the Big Lebowski, Vertigo, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Nicholas Rogue's Walkabout. So those are some. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching. Don't drink Coke at all. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita.